Hello. Once again, this is Robert J. Sodaro reading one of my stories that I wrote for Weird Fiction Quarterly. This is a winter edition story, and it again is a 500-word flash fiction story. Strap in, this one's going to be a bumpy ride. The story is called Whiteout. It began as it always began, with the ground shaking most violently. The level plain of the very ground itself twisted and turned, almost as if the entirety of Mother Earth was flipping itself upside down in a most ferocious upheaval of all that was natural. Gregor could barely hang on to the reins of his sled. His horses, however, somehow managed to remain straight and true as if they were fastened to the ground, in spite of the fact that the entirety of the world was fully topsy-turvy. Yet, in spite of the aggressively kinetic upheavals of the ground, Gregor managed to hold onto his sleigh, and the horses continued to remain glued to the ground. Then, as suddenly as the massive earthquake began, it abruptly ceased. But, as usual, that wasn't nearly the end of it. The ground, once again, gave way to a blinding snowstorm. The white flakes of the storm all but completely obliterated Gregor's line of sight in all directions. Still, in spite of the blinding fury of the whiteness, Gregor's horses managed their passage, as always, straight and true, never faltering in their unwavering mission to continue on their journey, as if they were destined to continue their journey by fate itself. After a few blinding moments of a raging storm, the blizzard subsided, only to be replaced by an eerie calm. Gregor called out to the stallions in a soothing voice in an attempt to calm his steeds down. Unfortunately, almost as soon as the last white flake hit the ground, a second earthquake hit. This one exponentially more powerful than the first, if that could be even believed. Once more the ground shook with the fury of the gods. Still, even though the ground rumbled in this way and that, Gregor, his sled, and the horses pulling it somehow managed to maintain their footing on the formerly level plane of the earth. The ferocious shaking continued for a full minute, stopping once again in the middle of a raging blizzard, but all but completely blinded Gregor. The horses, to their credit, kept to the path, as well as their mission of staying on the path and pulling Gregor's sleigh, much to Gregor's surprise and delight. And again, after a time, the blizzard itself ended, only to have the earthquakes begin anew, followed once again by a blinding snowstorm, and again by a quake, and then by a new storm. The sequence continued over and over again, yet Gregor, the sleigh, and the horses remained on track. Molly, Molly, the adult voice called. It's time to go to sleep. The young girl stopped and, pouting, looked at her father with a cherubic look on her face. But, Daddy, Molly's father smiled. You can play with your toy tomorrow. It's time to go to sleep. Smiling, Molly relented, put the snow globe in her hands on a nightstand next to her bed, then snuggled down to go to sleep. And there you have the story that I wrote. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed writing it.